Imagine this. Your first pregnancy. The joy of holding up a positive test with 2 lines, showing it to your husband. But instead of embracing you, comforting you, he looks at you as if you were a traitor. All because 8 years ago, a doctor once told him he was infertile. And the moment that should have been pure happiness turns into tragedy. You battle morning sickness every day, exhausted, yearning for a shoulder to lean on. But instead of care, you receive cold, suspicious stares. He doesn't ask if you need anything. He doesn't hold your hand. He simply opens the company's security cameras and hires a private investigator to track every step of his pregnant wife. That pain, how many women could endure it? A mother, carrying a fragile life inside her, yet forced to live under constant suspicion, judged without reason. But the most shocking part? The thing that destroyed the marriage was not the result of the investigation. It was that the husband had already lost his trust, had already lost his wife's heart. In just a few short weeks, if you were that wife, what would you do? Share your thoughts in the comments, because every word you leave behind could give strength to women facing the same pain. Daniel Whitmore stood behind the tall glass windows of his Manhattan office. At 36, he was the kind of man who commanded silence the moment he walked into a boardroom. Broad-shouldered, sharp jaw, tailored suit that fit like armor. Billions under his control. Power at his fingertips. To the world, he was untouchable. But inside, Daniel carried a secret that had shaped every decision he made. 8 years earlier, a doctor's report told him he was sterile. The word had carved itself into his bones, leaving a wound he never allowed anyone to see. He buried it under wealth, ambition, and a fortress of control. He built his empire as if success could silence the ache of what he could never have. He convinced himself he did not need children, that legacy could be written in glass towers and profit margins. Yet the truth clung to him like a shadow. And when Monica's words fell, "I'm pregnant," that shadow rose up like a ghost. It wasn't joy he felt. It was terror. Terror that her happiness meant betrayal. Terror that his secret was about to consume them both. Monica Evans had always been different. A woman of color in a world of cold marble lobbies and glittering chandeliers, she had never let wealth blind her. What drew her to Daniel was not his money, but the mind behind the empire. At 29, she was brilliant, meticulous, a data analyst who could find patterns hidden from even the sharpest executives. But beneath the logic was a heart that beat fiercely for love. Monica had believed in the promise of marriage, believed in sacrifice. She had traded promotions, turned down opportunities, chosen to build a life with Daniel instead of chasing titles. To her, love was not measured in dollars, but in trust. She carried her heritage, her resilience, and her hope into their home. She believed that no amount of suspicion could survive the truth of devotion. And so when she whispered the words, "I'm pregnant," her voice shook not from fear, but from joy. She thought this was the moment that would bind them closer. She thought his eyes would soften, his arms would hold her. She had no idea those words would instead open the deepest wound he had tried to bury. The small stick in Monica's hand carried 2 bright lines. Proof of life, proof of love. She held it out to Daniel with trembling fingers, eyes shimmering. "We're going to have a baby," she whispered, as though sharing a miracle. Daniel's gaze locked on the test. His heart hammered. The image blurred into the memory of a cold office years ago. Sterile. No chance of fatherhood. The report had been locked away, hidden from even his wife. Yet it screamed in his mind now, drowning out her joy. For Monica, those pink lines were a doorway to a future. For Daniel, they were chains dragging him into doubt. If he could not father a child, then whose child was she carrying? The air thickened. The room shrank. The warmth in her voice twisted into something unbearable. She reached for him, waiting for laughter, waiting for tears of happiness. But all Daniel felt was the sharp edge of betrayal pressing against his chest. What should have been the beginning of a dream turned into the cracking of their world. In one instant, joy became tragedy. Monica's smile faltered. She searched his face, waiting, pleading without words. "Aren't you happy?" Her voice broke softly, but Daniel said nothing. His jaw tightened, eyes fixed on the skyline beyond the glass. The city sprawled before him, glittering, endless, yet he felt trapped in a prison of silence. Her hand shook as she set the test on his desk. The sound was small, but it echoed like a gavel striking judgment. She stepped closer, desperate. "Daniel, please, say something." Still, no words came. The truth choked him. To speak would mean to reveal the secret he had carried for years, to admit his fear. Instead, he stood rigid, fists clenched behind his back, hiding the storm inside. Monica's heart sank. In his silence, she heard an answer louder than words. Not joy, not relief, but doubt. Cold, suffocating doubt. The moment that should have been filled with promises of tomorrow slipped into a void. Between them stretched an emptiness that neither wealth nor words could easily bridge. The silence dragged Daniel backward into memory. He was 28 again, sitting in a sterile room with fluorescent lights humming above. The doctor's voice was calm, clinical, merciless. "Mr. Whitmore, I'm sorry. The tests are conclusive. You are sterile. Natural conception will not be possible." Daniel had nodded, his face expressionless, but inside, something collapsed. That night he locked the report away in his desk. He told no one, not his family, not Monica. He swore he would never expose that weakness. He built his empire higher, faster, as if success could drown the echo of that single word. Sterile. He convinced himself it did not matter, that children were a dream for other men, that power, wealth, and control were enough. But the wound never healed. It lived inside him like a shadow, waiting for the moment to strike. And now, Monica's smile, her glowing cheeks, the trembling joy in her voice, felt like salt poured into that hidden scar. The past clawed at this present, and Daniel could not tell where memory ended and betrayal began. Daniel's mind shifted into calculation. 6 weeks. Monica had said she was 6 weeks along. 6 weeks ago, where had he been? He remembered the blur of airports, boardrooms, late nights in Tokyo, London, then New York. Monica had stayed in Manhattan working late on the satellite project. Who else had been there? Marcus Turner, head of security, loyal, dependable, or so Daniel had always thought. But memory replayed cruelly. The time Daniel walked in and found Monica laughing at her phone. She had said it was a joke Marcus shared with the staff, but the brightness of her smile had felt too personal. Suspicion crawled into Daniel's chest like ice. His jaw tightened as fragments lined up like evidence. Late nights, quiet conversations, that too easy familiarity. The baby growing inside Monica was a miracle. But in his mind, miracles were impossible. And if not his child, then whose? Monica watched him, her voice hopeful yet breaking. "Daniel, aren't you happy?" He turned from the window, face unreadable. "This is unexpected." Her brows furrowed. "Unexpected? Daniel, we're married. We talked about children someday. Maybe it's sooner than we planned, but..." Did we really talk about it? His words were sharp, colder than he intended. Or did you just mention it in passing? Her eyes widened, hurt flashing across her face. "What is that supposed to mean?" Daniel studied her features, searching for cracks, for guilt, for anything to confirm the storm raging inside him. She looked wounded, confused. But wasn't that exactly how a liar would look? Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Daniel, you think I betrayed you?" He did not answer. Silence hung heavy, louder than words, pressing between them like a wall neither could climb. Monica reached for his arm, desperate to bridge the gap. "Please, talk to me. Tell me what's going on." Daniel pulled away. "I have meetings." We'll talk later. The lie rolled off his tongue too easily. Her eyes filled with tears. I just told you we're having a baby. You act as if someone died. For a fleeting moment, he wanted to confess, to tell her about the report, the fear, the impossibility of her news. But his pride choked the words. If he was wrong, he would look weak. If he was right, the truth would break them. He grabbed his jacket. We'll discuss it another time. The door closed behind him, leaving Monica standing in the vast silence of their penthouse. She held the test close to her chest, her hands trembling. The joy she had carried only minutes before had already curdled into grief. Night fell, but sleep did not come. Daniel sat in his study, the glow of security footage flickering across his face. His company had cameras in every corridor, every elevator, every common space. As CEO, he had access to them all. He scrolled back. 2 months ago, Monica working late, Marcus bringing her coffee, the two talking for nearly half an hour in an empty lab. 6 weeks ago, Marcus walking her to her car, his hand grazing her lower back, casual yet intimate. Daniel's jaw clenched. He froze the frame. Monica laughing, her smile lit by headlights. Marcus leaning closer to her car window. The image seared into him. Logic told him it was nothing. But his heart, poisoned by fear, told another story. Each frame became another nail hammered into his suspicion. Alone in the glow of the screens, Daniel felt his chest tighten. Every image whispered the same cruel question. If not him, then who? The study door creaked open. Monica stepped inside, wearing a silk nightgown, her hair loose around her shoulders. "You're still working?" she asked softly. "It's past midnight." Daniel quickly minimized the camera footage. "Couldn't sleep," he murmured. She moved behind his chair, her hands settling on his tense shoulders. "You've been distant since I told you. More distant than usual. Talk to me. What's really going on?" For a moment, he almost confessed. Almost told her about the report, the fear, the reason her pregnancy felt impossible. But the image of Marcus's hand on her back filled his vision. "It's business," Daniel lied. "The Tokyo launch is more complicated than I expected." Monica's reflection in the darkened screen showed her disappointment. "Is that really all?" Daniel stood abruptly. "I'm exhausted. Can we not do this tonight?" Her voice sharpened. "I'm pregnant with our child, and you've barely acknowledged it." His silence told her everything. She stepped back, her eyes shimmering with tears, her hands folded protectively over her stomach. The gulf between them deepened, heavy and merciless. Monday afternoon arrived gray and heavy. Monica appeared at his office door, dressed in a soft blue sweater, her expression hopeful. "Ready to go? It's our first ultrasound." Daniel didn't look up from his desk. "I can't. The Tokyo contracts need my attention." Her voice cracked. "Daniel, this is our child. This is important." "So is a $50 million deal," he replied flatly. Monica closed the door behind her. "This is our family." Her voice trembled. "Is it?" Her body froze at his words. The question hung between them like a knife. "Daniel," she whispered, "look me in the eye. Tell me what you're really thinking." He looked at her, gray eyes cold as steel. "Go to the appointment. Get the information we need." Monica's laugh was brittle, broken. "You mean confirmation? Because my word isn't enough." The light in her eyes dimmed, replaced by emptiness. She walked away, her footsteps slow, her shoulders hunched under invisible weight. The first ultrasound became a symbol of broken trust. The promise of shared joy shattered before it began. That evening, Monica returned with ultrasound photos. She spread them across their bed, her hands trembling. "Daniel, I kept hoping you would come." He said nothing. Her voice broke, anger spilling through tears. 3 years of marriage, and you trust me so little. You think I would betray you with another man? then lie to your face about carrying his child. Daniel reached for the images, but she pulled them back. Do you know how humiliating this is? To carry your child, to throw up every morning, to feel alone every night, while my own husband looks at me like a liar? He tried to speak, but she cut him off. Don't you dare tell me you're processing. Don't you dare act as if this is business. This is my body, my heart, my life, and you've left me alone in it. Her sobs echoed through the room. Daniel stood there, hands clenched, unable to bridge the chasm his silence had carved. Days later, Daniel found himself sitting in a cramped office downtown. The blinds were drawn, the smell of old paper lingering in the air. Cole Bryant, a private investigator in his 50s, leaned back in his chair, eyes sharp. So let me get this straight. You want me to investigate your own wife because she's pregnant, and you believe you're sterile? Daniel's jaw tightened. I need proof before I make accusations. Or, Cole said slowly, you could just request a paternity test. If I'm wrong, I'll destroy my marriage over nothing. I need to be sure. Cole studied him, then nodded. Fine. Who's the suspect? Marcus Turner, head of security. He's close to her. Too close. Cole jotted down notes. Give me her routine, his schedule, anything unusual. Daniel provided every detail, though each word felt like betrayal. When he left, the guilt clung to him. Yet suspicion whispered louder, urging him forward. 3 nights later, Daniel met Cole in a quiet coffee shop. The investigator slid a manila folder across the table. You're not going to like this, he said. Daniel opened it. Photos, notes, records. Marcus Turner, 34, clean record, been with your company 3 years. And this? Cole tapped a picture. His girlfriend, Amanda Lewis, nurse at St. Mary's. They've been together 2 years. Daniel stared. A smiling brunette in scrubs. Cole continued. Every time you thought Marcus stayed late with Monica, Amanda was working the night shift. He was waiting for her. Monica helped plan his birthday party. That's what their conversations were about. Party planning, relationship advice. Daniel's breath caught. The evidence struck him harder than any blow. No affair, no betrayal, Cole concluded. Your wife is exactly what she says she is, pregnant and alone, because her husband doesn't trust her. Daniel closed the folder with shaking hands. For the first time, he saw the cost of his suspicion. Cole's final words still echoed in Daniel's mind. But what broke him most was the last note in the file. Monica had gone to the doctor alone. No hand to hold, no one to wipe her tears when the ultrasound revealed the tiny heartbeat. She was crying when she left, Cole reported flatly. Not the tears of a liar, the tears of a woman abandoned. Daniel sat frozen, his hands gripping the folder. Each page cut deeper than the last. His wife had carried hope in her heart, and he had answered with silence, suspicion, betrayal. In his mansion that night, he stared at the scattered ultrasound photos Monica had left behind. Small, grainy images of a life they had created together. Images she had longed to celebrate with him but instead carried alone. Daniel pressed a trembling hand to one picture. For the first time, he saw not evidence of betrayal but proof of his own cruelty. Monica had cried without him, and he had made her feel utterly unwanted. The bedroom was heavy with silence when Monica finally spoke. Her voice cut through the air like glass. Daniel, did you hire someone to follow me? His throat tightened. He couldn't meet her eyes. Her voice rose. Answer me! Yes, he whispered. Monica staggered back as if struck. While I carried your child, while I threw up every morning, you paid a stranger to watch me, to prove me guilty of something I never even thought of. Her tears streamed freely now, burning with rage. 3 years of marriage, Daniel, and you believed a file more than you believed me. He reached out, desperate. I was scared. Scared? She cut in. You chose fear over love. You chose suspicion over your wife. The fury in her eyes turned into something colder. Resignation. You didn't just break my heart, Daniel, you broke us. The suitcase landed on the bed with a dull thud. Monica's hands moved quickly, pulling clothes from hangers, folding with sharp, efficient motions. Daniel's voice shook. What are you doing? I'm leaving, she said simply. I can't live with someone who sees me as a liar. Please, Monica, don't do this. We can fix it. Her laugh was hollow. Fix it? Trust isn't a broken vase you glue together. Trust is either there, or it's gone. She zipped the suitcase, the sound final and unforgiving. Where will you go? He asked, panic rising. My sister's in Portland. Somewhere I don't have to defend myself every second. She picked up one ultrasound photo and placed it on his nightstand. Get new tests, Daniel. Find out if you can be a father. And when you do, remember this moment. Remember you destroyed your marriage over a mistake and your own fear. She rolled the suitcase out of the room, leaving only silence behind. 2 weeks later, Daniel sat across from Dr. Carter. The office smelled of antiseptic and rain-soaked coats. His hands trembled on the table as the doctor read the results. Mr. Hale, Dr. Carter said gently, your tests show normal sperm count and motility. You can absolutely father children. Daniel's breath caught. But 8 years ago, Dr. Carter pulled an old file from the stack. There was a clerical error. Your results were swapped with another patient. You were never infertile. The word struck harder than any blow. 8 years of believing a lie. 8 years of armor built around a false diagnosis. And now? The child Monica carried. It was his. His son. His blood. But she was gone. And he had pushed her away with suspicion when he should have celebrated her. The truth had come too late. That night, Daniel stood outside his mansion, rain streaming down his face. His phone shook in his hand as he dialed Monica's number. Please pick up, he whispered as it rang. Straight to voicemail. Again. And again. At last he left a message, voice breaking. Monica, it's me. I have the results. The doctors were wrong. The baby, he's mine. He's ours. I made the worst mistake of my life. Please call me back. Silence answered. He grabbed his keys. The 3-hour drive to Portland stretched like eternity. Every mile, he replayed her last words. Every mile, he saw her tears. Streetlights blurred in the rain, but one thought remained sharp. He would beg if he had to. Crawl if he must. Because if Monica didn't forgive him, no empire, no wealth, no power could save him from the emptiness he had created. Portland's quiet streets smelled of wet leaves. Daniel stood at the green front door, his clothes damp from rain. He rang the bell, heart pounding. The door opened. Chloe, Monica's sister, filled the frame. Her eyes burned with anger. You have some nerve, she said sharply. You've done enough. Please, Daniel whispered. I need to see her. Chloe crossed her arms, blocking the way. My sister has cried herself to sleep for weeks. She carries your child while healing from wounds you made. And now you show up here? Daniel's voice cracked. I know. I destroyed everything. But I have proof. Please. Just 5 minutes. Behind Chloe, he glimpsed Monica sitting on the couch, hand resting on her belly. She looked fragile, tired, and more beautiful than ever. Chloe turned to her. Do you want this? Monica hesitated, then quietly. 5 minutes. That's all. Reluctantly, Chloe stepped aside. Daniel entered, but the air was heavy. Every step toward Monica weighted with guilt. They sat on the porch swing, rain pattering softly on the street. Daniel's hands shook as he pulled folded papers from his jacket. Monica, he said, his voice unsteady. I was wrong. The tests 8 years ago, They were a mistake. Dr. Carter confirmed it. I can father children. The baby? You were right. He's mine. He's ours. Her green eyes filled, but not with joy, with exhaustion, with hurt. I should have trusted you, Daniel continued, his throat tightening. Instead, I trusted fear. I hired a man to follow you. I accused you without saying the words. I left you to suffer alone. And I will regret it for the rest of my life. Monica looked down at the papers in his hands. She didn't touch them. You think this makes it better? She asked quietly. That a report will erase the way you made me feel? Daniel, you abandoned me when I needed you most. His tears fell unchecked. I love you. Please don't give up on us. Her silence was louder than any refusal. The porch was heavy with unsaid words. Monica held her stomach protectively, eyes locked on the street rather than his face. I can't go back, she said finally, voice flat. Not now. Not after everything. Daniel's chest tightened. Monica, please. You'll be part of the baby's life, she interrupted. I won't take that from you. But me? I need time. Space. To heal. To figure out if I can ever trust you again. He nodded, though the motion felt like surrender. I'll keep you informed about appointments, she added. You'll know everything. But I can't live under the same roof. Not yet. Daniel looked at her hand, circling her belly. His child. Their child. A piece of both of them, growing even as their marriage fractured. Bittersweet hope burned in him. At least she hadn't shut the door completely. But the distance was real. And for the first time in years, he realized wealth, power, prestige, none of it could bridge the chasm of broken trust. Weeks turned into months. Daniel sat in a quiet office in Seattle facing Dr. Michelle Romano. Her voice was calm but firm. Why do you think you assumed the worst about your wife? Daniel clenched his jaw. Because I've always expected betrayal. My father left my mother when I was 12. I learned early that love ends in abandonment. And how has that shaped you? I built walls. I controlled everything. My company, my life, even my marriage. I thought control would keep me safe. His voice faltered. But it destroyed the one person I should have cherished most. Dr. Romano nodded. Healing means facing the wound, not hiding from it. You want Monica to see a new man. That means becoming him. Daniel left the sessions drained but lighter. Therapy became his penance, each appointment a step toward redemption. At night, he replayed Monica's words. You chose suspicion over love. He vowed never again. It was 3:47 a.m. when the phone rang. Daniel jolted upright, heart racing. On the line, Monica's voice shook with pain. Daniel, it's time. The contractions started an hour ago. They're close now. His blood turned cold and hot all at once. Are you at the hospital? Chloe's driving me. St. Mary's. Daniel. Her voice broke as another wave of pain hit. Oh God, it hurts. I'm coming, he said firmly, already pulling on clothes, grabbing his keys. Hang on, Monica. You're not alone in this. Not tonight. The line went silent, leaving only her ragged breaths in his ears. Daniel raced into the night, headlights slicing through darkness. Every mile felt like a prayer, every second a plea. The moment he had dreaded and longed for was here. He had missed too much already. But this he would not miss. The hospital lights were harsh, the air sharp with antiseptic. Monica gripped the bed rail, her knuckles white as another contraction tore through her body. She cried out, sweat glistening on her forehead. Daniel stood at her side, holding her hand. "Breathe with me," he whispered, guiding her through the rhythm they had practiced. His other hand rubbed her lower back as nurses hurried around them. "I can't do this," Monica gasped, her body shaking. "Yes, you can," Daniel said firmly, meeting her tearful eyes. "You're the strongest woman I know. You've carried our child for 9 months. You've carried my failures too. You can do this." Her scream echoed through the room, but his hand never left hers. Each contraction became a war they fought together. For the first time in months, he wasn't her accuser or her betrayer. He was simply her partner, standing by her in the most vulnerable moment of her life. And with every breath, every whispered encouragement, Daniel began to understand what true love demanded: presence, not control. At 2:17 p.m., Dr. Carter's voice rang clear. "It's time to push." Monica summoned strength from the depths of exhaustion. She pushed, screamed, clutched Daniel's hand until he thought his bones might break. Then, the room filled with the sweetest sound he had ever heard. A baby's cry. Thin, raw, alive. "She's perfect," Dr. Carter announced, placing the tiny girl on Monica's chest. 7 pounds, 2 ounces, a head of dark hair. Daniel's vision blurred with tears. He touched his daughter's cheek, overwhelmed by wonder. Dr. Carter handed him the scissors. "Would you like to cut the cord, Dad?" His hands shook as he cut the lifeline, connecting himself forever to the fragile new life before him. Monica whispered through tears, "Grace. Her name is Grace." Daniel repeated it softly, reverently. "Grace." The new cry filled every corner of his heart, a symbol of forgiveness not yet won, but of hope, breathing in his arms. The hospital room was quiet now, Grace asleep in her bassinet. Monica lay back against the pillows, her face pale but glowing with new motherhood. Daniel sat at the edge of her bed, watching Grace with awe. "She's ours," he whispered. Monica's voice was soft, edged with weariness. "Thank you for being here. I couldn't have done it without you." He looked at her quickly, searching for forgiveness. "Monica?" She shook her head gently. "This doesn't erase the past. Love isn't enough without trust." "And trust." Her voice faltered. "Trust takes time." Daniel bowed his head, accepting the truth. "Then I'll wait. However long it takes." Her eyes softened, but distance still lingered between them. Fragile, like glass repaired but not yet strong. Grace stirred, and both parents reached for her at the same moment. Their hands brushed. Monica didn't pull away this time. For now, it was enough. Autumn leaves swirled outside Seattle Children's Hospital. Inside, laughter echoed. 2-year-old Grace bounced on Daniel's knee while Monica filled out forms at the desk. "Daddy, fishy!" Grace squealed, pointing at a mural of a seahorse. "That's right, sweetheart. A seahorse," Daniel said, kissing the top of her head. Monica returned, smiling, a real smile. One Daniel hadn't seen in years. Her eyes met his, no longer hardened by suspicion, but softened by healing. They walked into Dr. Peterson's office as a family. The doctor declared Grace healthy and strong. Her vocabulary advanced for her age. Later, at Pike Place Market, Grace smeared strawberry ice cream across her cheeks while her parents laughed together. The sound felt like sunlight after a storm. 2 years of therapy, 2 years of rebuilding trust, brick by brick. They weren't the same couple who had almost lost everything. They were stronger, scarred but surviving. Daniel slipped his fingers into Monica's. This time she squeezed back. A single clerical error once convinced Daniel he could never be a father. But it wasn't the mistake on paper that nearly destroyed his marriage. It was the doubt in his heart. Suspicion, sharper than any blade, cut deeper than betrayal itself. Monica carried love, but received cold silence in return. Only through pain, healing, and hard work did they find their way back. Grace became their second chance, proof that new life can grow even in the ashes of broken trust. But trust is fragile. Once shattered, it demands courage to rebuild. So we ask you, if you were Monica, could you forgive Daniel? Could you risk your heart again for the sake of love? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe. More stories of love, loss, and redemption await, each one a reminder of how deeply human hearts can break and how powerfully they can heal.